One of the interesting queries and questions that have been asked for many decades is the ever popular question about life on other planets, as we're all familiar with. It's been, especially during the time of the space race in the 50s and the 60s, it was something that piqued people's interest. They were looking for some type of intelligent life on other planets. Of course, the Torah is begging to find intelligent life on this planet. But is there such an existence of something on other planets, of some type of life that could be beyond what we see to our eye? When they were going up into space, in many places we found certain properties that seemed to develop such an idea. For instance, we knew that we found certain places where it could have been dried up water pockets on the moon. Or we know that on Mars there definitely were some reservoirs of water that seemed to have been of the past on Mars. And especially even now, they found ice on the moons that are surrounding the many moons that surround Saturn and Jupiter. And by doing that, they felt that maybe there is such an idea of life being on other planets. In 1961, there was something known as the Drake equation, where he made a long and extensive calculation of many different planets and the extent of how sun, not being too far from the planet, could definitely bring life and sustain life on those specific planets. Even he got into the situation that there are definitely civilizations of maybe thousands, even he got to tens of thousands of places that is other civilizations besides us. This theory was backed up for a number of decades until the later till the end of the 20th century, more or less in the 90s, and especially in the years 2000, when people started to realize it is impossible. It can't be that other life is that there's life on other planets. In an article and this book known as "Maybe We Are Alone After All," that was written in the year 2000, it goes in details, in the incredible detail of our planet and the exact location of it, how it can kimat not be imitated. These are incredible proofs to Kadosh Baruch Hu b'chvoidu be'atzma. They said the placement of the earth is so exact to the sun. If it was a few inches closer, a few inches farther, it would not be able to harbor life. It would all freeze over. The whole entire ocean would freeze over. If it was too close, obviously we'd all burn up. The stability of the Earth's climate is so exact, so it's able to have life on it. If it would be too abrupt from one extreme to the next, people would not be able to survive. The composition of matter and the different types of materials that we have in our planet are exact to a certain extent that it's not to such an exactitude in other planets. To get to there would be too precise. The radiation we have in our planet, and we have it, is very limited. Obviously, if it would have too much radiation, nobody would be able to survive a couple days. And in many of the surrounding planets, and especially stars in our universe, it is surrounded by heavy X-ray radiation. It has a tremendous amount of gamma rays and therma. There are meteor attacks that are happening on a constant basis, as opposed to on our planet, even though we get meteor attacks, but most of them are sustained by Jupiter, which takes a number of them because of its incredible mass. And the ones that do come in are usually burnt up by the atmosphere in the meantime. If you buy your Tesla, then maybe the atmosphere will stick around. I'm not here to advertise. Anyway, so that's the idea, and obviously I'm simplifying the incredible creation that we call our world. This was brought to you by a couple doctors, Dr. Peterberg and Dr. Brownlee, who basically proved the Kadosh Baruch Hu, if I could say without speaking it out, by speaking out the exactitude of the planet that we are located in. And the truth is, in the Sifrei of the Torah, in the Sfarim of the Torah, it is not a subject that is written so much about, to be able to introspect into the idea of life on other planets. But there are a couple of the Kadmonim, the Rishonim, especially in the philosophical time periods, where they were into discussing this idea. There's a sefer called Sefer Abrit, a sefer that was written 300 years ago, but is reporting from the Rishonim that discussed this topic. And he brings that, as we all know, the word kochav, when we speak about the word stars, stars don't only mean a helium gas planet, or a ball of gas. In the Lashon of Chazal, a kochav can be or a planet where people could stand on, or it could be also a star, as we well know about it. And he brings a proof from the Rishonim that bring from one pasuk is a good raya to this idea. It's a pasuk in Shirat Devara in Shoftim Perek, where over there it says in the pasuk Arur Meroz, Arur Yoshveya. Over there it brings that Devara kind of cursed Maroz. Now what is this Maroz? According to an opinion in the Gemara in Mod Katan Daf Tezayim, Maroz is a kochav, it's an actual star. A star means a planet, like I told you before. And she Ke'ilu was cursing Maroz, Arur Yoshveha, those that are sitting upon it. It sounds from here, says the Sefer Abrit, that a planet has some type of Yoshveha, some type of dwelling, some type of dwellers that are sitting on top of it, that she felt that they should have been somewhat involved. Now some people are doche, as many of the proofs some people try to push away, and they say over here it's referring to a mazal, it's referring to a horoscopal type of influence, that she was saying that it should have been more influence. The Sefer Or Hashem brings from the Gemara in Avodah Zarah that says that Melamed Shat be 18,000 olamot, the Kodesh Baruch Hu goes and goes from one planet to another, 18,000 different worlds. Also we know, Malchutcha Malchut Kolamim, the Pasuk says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a Malchus of Olamim, and the Targum actually says Malchuta is the Kol Almaya, from all the worlds, from all of the worlds, meaning that he is the Melech on many different planets. Now of course over there it is mentioned that it could mean it's referring to spiritual worlds, but the Or Hashem Dafka learns that it means physical worlds, and it means that it's not a contradiction for there to be life on other planets, because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Echad, of course he's one, and he influences many, like we have many children, only one set of parents has many children, so too HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Echad, and he can go ahead and influence on many planets, as it's brought in Pirkei Rebbe Lazar, that he built 7 worlds, 7 olamot are there. Now of course there are those that differ. The Talmud of the Sefer Or is the Baal Ikrim of Yosef Albo, the Sefer Ikarim, and he writes very strongly that even if there would be life on other planets, only here would harbor free choice. In our world is a place that harbors creations that have free choice, this incredible creation that we have that we call free choice, that we're actually able to do right and wrong. And therefore he says there's no purpose for other planets to have any type of life form, in as much as that there's no free choice. And that's what he brings from the Gemara in Brachot and Daf Lamed Aleph, that Adam Rishon decided where Liyishuv Nichashva Kol Aretz Shelo Gazar Alea, and wherever he said there won't be any type of Yishuv. In other words, there's only a Yishuv in the place where Adam Rishon is there. Adam Rishon is the beginner of all of mankind, and therefore, wherever he is, that's where he is, and it's not going to be beyond that, and it's not going to be on other planets. Sounds very convincing and correct, but it's incredible, because when you open a Zohar, in the beginning of Vayikra and Daf Yud, the Zohar actually writes that there are 7 lands that are separated by 7 Rekiot, 7 firmaments, meaning we're talking about different worlds. Now it could mean he's talking about underneath worlds, nether worlds, or he's talking about other worlds which are separated by Rekiot. And over there he actually writes, and there are Briot, there are creations on all of them. There are creatures on all of them. He says, we live in the 7th one, which is known as Tevel, which is a place that you stay. But he says there are other ones which are tafel, which are subhuman to other humans. They look different. They have different colors. I guess they're green and red. That's what he actually writes, green and red, believe it or not. So these Martians could exist on these other planets according to the Zohar. He says there's briot meshunot zu umimina enoshi. They look different from us, and they have different colors from us, but they live on these 7 different types of areas, these 7 different aratzot. And he says even though you don't experience them, you don't see them, they are tafel to bnei Adam. They are tafel to us. That is what the words of the Zohar says, believe it or not. And that's what it means in the Gemara Brachot when it says that Adam Arishon was gozer. he decided where people are going to be. He decided yes here and not there, and yes here and not there. Now he himself asked the Zohar, because it bothered me, where did these people come from? How did they come from Adam Arishon? How were they able to get from Adam Arishon? Adam Arishon was on this planet, he was in other places. And he brings actually answer, believe it or not, that when he went and and the Midrash brings, as he had relations with Lilith from other Shadim, other types of Shadim are demons, if you will. If you look, we have a shir not long ago about demons and all what they're about. And these demons, Kebiyachol, had other types of humanoids which seem to exist in a different type of parameter and maybe even on a different planet. I'm reading to you more or less from a Zohar. And again, it could be he's referring to other places on this planet, but that's really what he brings. And the Zohar actually brings a Kufnun Zayin that Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda were sitting on a stone on the way, and then someone from the place Arkai, now Arkai is one of these 6 other planets that he's referring to, came to him, and he looked a little bit unusual, and he told him, I'm from Arkai, and you should know that we are a little bit different. We have a little bit of a different rapport to us. We have a little bit of a different approach to us. That's how we are. And that's the idea. So maybe when people saw other things, they're seeing reports of Shadim, or maybe they're stam varfing, as they say, throwing out extra things. It's fine. But in the end of the day, that seems to be something that exists. Now, this is actually connected a little bit to our Parsha, because in the beginning of the Parsha, when the Pasuk goes ahead and accounts for the 12 Shvatim, Rashi brings down that they are nimshalu l'kochavim, that we, the 12 tribes, are nimshalu, are compared to stars, so to speak, and therefore Hashem always enjoys counting us before, he counts afterwards. And the Siftei Chachamim over there on the side, he asks, why over here, Dafka, are we compared to Kochavim? Now we know we're compared to Kochavim by Avraham Avinu, but what's the idea that Kochavim, we could have thought of a lot of things that we could have compared B'nai Yisrael to. Why are we Dafka compared to Kochavim? And he says a beautiful idea. He says because stars are around during the day and at nighttime. As we all know, the stars are always around, not like the primitives used to think. The only difference is, Shraga B'tira Manera, when there's a bright sun outside, you can't see the stars, but they're always around. Therefore, says the Siftei Chachamim, so too, Klal Yisrael are 12 Shvatim. We are 12 Shvatim, and there are 12 in the horoscope, in the constellations, there are 12 different types of horoscopes, and that's connected to 12 Shvatim. And even though we only can see them during the dark times, in the time of the Galut, and we only see Olam Hazeh, we only see this world, but you should know, even when the light is abound, and in the world of Olam Haba, we're there also. We are presently there in Olam Haba, even though we cannot see it because of the bright light. But you should know that we're no less in this world than we are in the next world, and that's the idea that we are compared to the stars. Incredible Siftei Chachamim. But just as an addendum, you should know that the amount of stars that are in the universe, according to the rabbis, comes out to 1 to the 10 to the 18th power. It's a Gemara in Brachot that makes a whole calculation, one after the next, how many stars in each constellation. Says there's 12 constellations, this many stars, this many stars. If you do the calculations, it comes out to 1 to the 18th, 10 to the 18th power. If you look at NASA's calculations as about a decade ago, they were up to 10 to the 21st power of the number of stars, which is incredible, because you can't see more than approximately 4,000 stars to the naked eye. Until approximately 2 centuries, a couple centuries ago, everyone believed there was a very limited amount of stars. And here we are, we're compared to the stars because we are endless, there's no end to how much we are, and we are completely bountiful. Even though it looks like we're limited, even though we only see 4,000, there are billions and billions, we're talking about a trillion of a billion of a trillion of the amount of stars that exists. And on that we say, Su Anechem Arom Anechem. And that's why sometimes it's interesting to look into the planets, to look into life in outer space, and to look at the great, vast universe that we exist in. Re'u mi bara'ela, to see the great, incredible amount that the worlds were created. There are so many stars out there, and we all know that each one is accounted for. Not one is futile, not one is replaceable, and not one is insignificant. We need each and every one of them. They're all there as a purpose. Even when a star is blows up, even when it gets destroyed, they discovered the incredible importance of that destroyed star to create or planets or other stars based on the iron and carbon that is contained within it that gets spread around, and from there it explodes and it brings out more and more stars that are created from it, or even more planets. Borei olamot ubachrivim. That's what it means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu builds worlds and destroys them. On a constant basis, we see worlds being destroyed, but recreated. And all this is here to tell us one incredible thing. When they're looking into the other worlds in order to be able to find other intelligent creatures there, it's for one reason only, because they have no intelligence to find here. They're too bored over here. We've already been there, done that. It's all expired over here. We're willing to take, as they have already recruited to a trip to Mars, which is a one-way trip. You're not coming back. Thousands of 10,000s of people that are willing to go. That means to me only one thing. Enough. I've had it. I have nothing else to live for in this planet. I've exhausted all my interests. I've seen the planet. I want to go elsewhere. I want to do something else with my life. As opposed to by Yidden, as opposed to by us, Baruch Hashem, we are expansive. We have no limits to the amount of, through the Torah and through the amount that we can do here. And we have never exhausted our energy in this world. Yes, you've been here, maybe done that, but in as much as we've seen such a complex universe and such a productive universe, and we see how vast it is, that only tells us one thing: Bishvili nivra ha'olam. It's all about for me, that all this was here for me. The words of the Nefesh HaChaim, you know what he says? He says everything that we do creates another world. It creates another star. It creates another universe, another galaxy. It's all there. As he brings from Pirkei Avot, Dama lamala mimcha. We say, no, it's above you. He says, Dama lamala, you should know what's up there. Mimcha. It's from your actions. It's from the good and the bad. It's from the decisions that we make. It's from our personal free choice. We are very busy, dynamic people. It never ends because we're so busy creating universes. The more we see how great this universe is, the more we realize all this was created because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves me. We are the center of the universe, even though we're so infinitesimal. Even though when you look into the numbers, the planet Earth is just less than a grain of sand in all the oceans of the universe. But that only is there to prove a bigger point, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did this all because He loves us so much. All of this is surrounding, it's only there to serve us. As we said in the beginning, Kochavim, we are stars. And even though in this world we only see it in the time of darkness, but you should remember, those stars are visible and will be visible also in the next world. In the next world, when it's around, they're still there. And you should realize that every individual action that you do is so precious, it's so luscious, it's so wanted, it's so important. Never feel insignificant. Don't just feel like you're one of, because we're such a small amount of Jews who are being Shomer Torah Mitzvot, that we do an incredible amount. They bring with the Chofetz Chaim that there was a specific maskil, they don't even like to say his name, who was trying so hard to get the Chofetz Chaim. He realized the genius that he was and was working over and over to get him. And he tried to pull him in as much as he could. Until one day, when he was young obviously, until one day, Baruch Hashem, the Chofetz Chaim actually was able to get away from him and filter away, and he was able to survive. To think of that one little cute Yisrael mayor ended up giving into that person, saying, no, it's very good. He offered him a lot of money. He gave him a regal position. He would be very important. That one little Yisrael mayor, if he would have listened to that maskil, oy vey, we would have lost the Chofetz Chaim. There's nothing to imagine, the Svarim and the whole, everything that we've gotten from the Chofetz Chaim, we would have lost if he would have just thought of his insignificance at the time. Every little thing we do has a tremendous amount of importance. And please don't forget to realize that Bishvili Nivra Olam, all the planets, whether there is intelligent life in the next world or not, one thing I know is in this world, there is intelligent life. Shabbat Shalom.